and welcome back to In the Slant. My name is Brady. As always, today I'm joined with my boy Alex, Dustin, and Jared. Today we're going to be previewing everything AFC South as we wrap up the AFC for this series. Before we go any further, how are you boys doing?
I'll be good once Josh Jacobs finally signs his franchise tag, hopefully coming soon.
Absolutely. That sounds like that would be great news for the Raiders. What about y'all?
Great after watching
oh gosh, don't even bring it up.
our rookies go crazy today.
Joint practice for the Ravens Commanders has been interesting between us, but what about you, Alex?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just ready for some Giants football.
So, of course, the biggest news out of the AFC South right now is that, I mean, it was pretty obvious. I think this was always ultimately going to happen. But you do have those rare occasions where the rookie quarterback in the first round doesn't start immediately, especially like top 10 picks. But Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud have been officially announced as starting quarterbacks for their team week 1. As I said, I think that was ultimately always obvious. So just wanted to get that little caveat out of the way. There has been, like I said, there's been times where like Goff didn't start right away, which is weird, but sometimes teams do it. But I think Bryce Young, we'll mention him and once we get an NFC South video, but he was also named a starter, I believe. So it's cool to see those guys get their job right away. You know, coaches love to see these rookies compete for their jobs rather than just handing it to them. Ultimately, they're the favorites to win it, of course, but it is cool. I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything to add about those two getting the starting job. There's not a whole lot to it. I mean,
I just thought it was pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's just obvious.
Why draft them first round if they're not going to end up starting?
Yeah. Especially when you have quarterback issues to begin with, obviously.
Like, you might as well just like send them out there and see what they could do. Even if they're not even the best quarterback on your roster, I just don't think their rosters overall are going to even compete that far, even into playoffs if they somehow do make it. So you might as well just send your starting quarterbacks out and see what they can do this year.
Like Alex said, especially their first rounder, no matter what position.
Top 10 on top of that. I mean, they literally had to compete with what? Davis Mills, and then obviously Gardner Minshew was the guy to compete with for the Colts, and that's, you know, Gardner Minshew has his times. He's got his up and downs, but he's not really an overall starting quarterback going forward. So I think that was the obvious choice, but we're going to go ahead and segue into a new segment we've been introducing. All of us here play fantasy football, and I'm sure some of you guys do at home. So we've been wanting to talk some fantasy football. So today we're going to be talking about some AFC South fantasy football as my boy Dustin has the goods.
All right, we're going to go into the big dogs. I want you guys all, after I say the big dogs, I want you guys to say your least and favorite pick out of the big dogs. I'm not going to go into any explanation with them. The underdogs I'll go into a little bit more explanation with. So big dogs, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, Dameon Pierce, Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Michael Pittman, Evan Ingram, T-Law, Christian Kirk. That's like the only ones I could like think of off the top of my head. I feel like a lot of those other guys, like, they are really solid, but I just feel like they're more towards the underdog category. So my favorite, well, it just really depends on the Jonathan Taylor news, because he would probably be my least favorite right now just because of everything that's going on. But at the same time, if he's like fully ready to go, then he'd probably be one of my favorites.
I have a lot to say about some of the guys you listed. Starting with Derrick Henry, King Henry. He's getting to that point where I dodged him last year. I went and I could have drafted him last year. I dodged him. I selected Najee Harris, which was a terrible pick. He was absolutely terrible.
Barry said that pick in so much confidence too. I remember that.
Dude, it's because he had the 71 receptions the year before. But yeah, absolutely terrible pick. But basically what I'm trying to go with this is Derrick Henry. I've been predicting the downfall of Derrick Henry since last year. Is anybody predicting that going into this year?
No, I think Derrick Henry is going to do exactly what he's been doing. Out of that whole list, he's definitely my top pick. If you have top 5 pick and say you're the 5th pick in your fantasy draft and Derrick Henry is there and there's not an exceptional wide receiver there for you, I mean, any day of the week, I'd get Derrick Henry. That's just me, though.
I feel like Derrick Henry's been going like, what, 13,
yeah,
14?
He's been going like
I saw a draft
first,
he went
early second.
I saw a draft he went like late first.
I think it's the PPR factor that, you know, scares people away from Derrick
Henry.
Henry.
I mean, to be fair, like around the picks, like if he was going to pick 5, I would probably pick something else. But where he's going, like it's so far in mock drafts, like the 13, 14 spot, sometimes a little bit later, I'm definitely confident with that just because of production. But at the 5th spot, I would definitely like, if Austin Eckler's there, I'd be taking Austin Eckler all day over it. Like, there's a few running backs, or like, there's a few running backs I would take over Derrick Henry that I feel like have more upside. But
another duo I want to talk about, which is with the Jaguars. I get Calvin Ridley is exciting and he's coming back, but his ADP is higher than Christian Kirk's, and I'm not really sure if that's warranted in my opinion.
I think it. I don't really. I'm just not a huge fan of Christian Kirk.
But Christian Kirk went out there and absolutely produced last year, and he's going like way later in the draft, and we haven't seen Ridley play football in so long. That's why I'm questioning it in a
But
way.
it's just, I feel like you just know that the upside. I feel like the upside is definitely higher.
But
with
would you
Calvin.
rather have Calvin Ridley early or go Christian Kirk later?
I'm a
Christian
Calvin
Kirk
Ridley
later.
fan.
I'm on the side of going Christian Kirk
I'm
later.
Calvin Ridley all day. I'm sorry, I got
If
to.
Calvin Ridley's there, I'll take him maybe. But if I had a choice, like there was no one else I liked, I would take Calvin Ridley. But if there was someone else I liked over Calvin Ridley and I felt like I could get Christian Kirk later if I'm trying to target this Jaguars offense, I'd be pretty confident taking Christian Kirk later because he absolutely produced, and he's still the highest paid player on that team.
I don't think
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I don't mind taking either of them. And I just feel like later rounds. I don't know. I never see Christian Kirk ever. I feel like I don't know. Or if I do, it's like he goes like a few picks before it's my turn to pick or something.
That's
so
what I'm saying. He goes kind of late. He's
Yeah.
he's in
Go
that
late.
middle tier.
So here's a little stat from Calvin Ridley. So Calvin Ridley had 25.9% target share in 5 games in 2021 before stepping away. In 2020, he had nearly 1,400 yards in 15 games while sharing the field with Julio Jones.
Exactly.
So I think the upside on on Calvin Ridley is actually really good,
It
but
is.
in the long run, I'd rather get like Christian Kirk round 5, 6, and bet on that.
I think they're both great picks. Don't get me wrong. I could see this Jaguars offense being really good. So I think both of them, you could be very happy with taking either of them. I'm just saying if you had to choose, I would bet on taking Christian Kirk later. That's just
is
my
it
thought.
crazy that I honestly think that one of the safest picks, like out of the big dogs I named, is low key Evan Ingram because like especially where he goes, like because I'm just thinking about more like where he falls, and I feel like he's like definitely like one of the next up tight ends where you can see them like doing like the Mark Andrews stats. I feel like
Evan Ingram,
I don't see him putting up that.
You don't see him doing it again? I mean, he
No.
got his. He
No,
got his
putting up-
What did he get?
Put up-
800 yards last year?
Yeah, he had a really good year. I
No,
mean,
he can do that again, but I just don't see him putting up numbers like that.
I think he could. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit harder with Calvin Ridley addition too, but I feel like you could still see him hitting like 800-900 yards easily. And for a tight end, that's consistent, like
the
enough.
stigma from Evan Ingram was obviously coming from the Giants, and he had a reputation of
Dropping the ball.
passes, but he absolutely bounced back with the Jaguars, got his extension. He does go like more towards that middle rounds. He's kind of right there with Christian Kirk, if I'm not mistaken. So Evan Ingram's another guy if you want to bet on a tight end with some upside. If you don't want to go, later for the tight ends, like obviously you'll have Kelsey Andrews, Hawkinson will all go early. Evan Ingram is like right in the middle there if you want to try to.
Yeah.
He's, in my opinion, he's like on that last tier of elite tight end you can
ends,
grab.
yeah.
Unless if you're gonna punt it that
And
much.
are we
I
just
think
ranking these
he's-
tight ends out of AFC South or just
Yeah,
the whole
AFC
league?
South. No,
Okay.
I'm just saying like, but where he falls too, because I'm not comparing him to a Travis Kelce
Yeah,
or
I'm not-
Mark
I'm not
Andrews.
Okay. No,
But
no.
I'm saying like out of all the tight ends in the league, he's one of the guys where you're like, oh, dude, he could easily be like the 3rd, 4th, 5th spot, all like in fantasy points at the end of the season.
Like Brady
easily.
said, I guess if he's the last tight end on the board, that's like the last tier of elite.
yeah,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean-
I'd say he's like a tier 2 or like you got tier 1 Kelsey, Mark Andrews, and I'd say Evan Ingram somewhere in that tier 2, tier 3.
because there's
of
like
eliteness.
a last wave of tight ends with like Kyle Pitts, Evan Ingram, and also Darren Waller that like go right near the same position. Where I think I would be fine with taking Evan Ingram there if you're gonna take a tight end early.
Because low key, you still got Pat Fairmouth, you still got
Yeah.
Hawkinson, you still got
Njoku.
Dallas Goedert. Like you still
David
got.
Njoku.
Yeah,
I think tight end depth is. It might not seem deep, but I feel like it kind of
I mean,
is.
to be fair, I just think that's a safe pick. I do go tight ends usually late. Like obviously, everyone knows my favorite pick. I've been telling everyone Travis Etienne.
Yep.
That's a person who I literally, if I looked at all these names on this board, that's definitely the dude I've drafted the most is Travis Etienne. If I'm like towards the number 1 or 2 spot, every time he comes back around, I'm drafting Travis Etienne because he always falls to like the start of like the 3rd round usually.
So I've seen a lot of like tweets and whatever Instagram posts about first pick solid WR, second pick solid running back, third pick get a good tight end, fourth pick hopefully something in quarterback falls in your favor, which I can kind of piggyback off that and think that's a good direction to take. But if I have the 3rd round and like Lamar's there,
Yeah.
I'm going Lamar all day of the week.
Yeah, there's a
for
bunch of
tight end.
strategies you can go with in fantasy football. I don't think we'll go any.
Yeah,
depth.
me-
And there's like
Yeah.
zero RB, hero RB. There's like a lot of.
Because I feel like me and
interest.
Or be like this guy and draft a quarterback
I've been-
round 8.
You will not see me using my first 3 or 4 rounds on a quarterback, but I have been picking up like a 6th round Justin Herbert or a T-Law. Never. I don't care, bro. Quarterbacks can always put up numbers. I'd rather have a wide receiver that's outperform all these 4th and 5th rounders you're drafting as your wide receiver because you took a quarterback.
Having a
I can argue that though
But
because
having a Mahomes and Allen is like.
But I'm not picking Mahomes up in the 2nd round when I can pick up a
That's
receiver. I'm sorry. I would never draft a quarterback in the first 3 rounds.
I remember
I waited last year like I wanted Patrick Mahomes. He got taken, so I kept waiting. I ended up getting Aaron fucking Rodgers round like 6, and then I got Derek Carr, and it fucked up my whole fantasy.
I only
bro.
draft one quarterback in my draft. I don't care about
fucked
that.
everything
I
up,
don't
dude.
draft extra tight ends. I don't draft extra quarterbacks.
man.
Just whenever they're going on their bye week is when I pick that up. I just never care about
Extra
that.
tight end for sure, but quarterbacks, You can usually pick them up in when free agency.
It depends.
starts.
If you have like a
Yeah,
Kelsey,
basically.
I ain't drafting an extra tight end. I don't think I need that extra tight end.
Nah.
I mean, because you can always just go on the waivers for a tight
Yeah,
end.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to be real cheesy and double up on tight ends and have one to trade
Yeah,
to get
that's
another player.
I just don't think the competition for wide receiver is like and running backs drops off a lot after the 3rd round. And to me, like, don't get me wrong, yeah, it's nice having a great quarterback that you can know can put up this crazy amount of points, but I'm fine taking a Derek Carr towards the late end of the draft and like just hoping he can drop me 20 points a game, and then hope the wide receivers and running backs I picked up early just outdo all the running backs you've picked in the 4th,
We're
5th
kind of
round.
going away from the AFC South, though. So
But
Real
yeah.
quick, I want to back
Yeah.
Dustin up real quick on that. He's right. I feel like if you get a quarterback who can produce at least 20 points, but then have an all-star receiver or running back, you should.
I feel like
Be
you're
okay.
gambling though.
No,
bro.
I've always placed, and I've done that strategy every year. I always wait quarterback.
Well, if it works, it works. you
Yeah,
know?
and you'll
So-
see it this year, Alex. Boom.
All right, all right.
Never mind. I'm not gonna keep. Let's move on.
All right, but that-
We're going on tangents.
Yeah.
Sound like Kanye
All right,
West.
sleepers or whatever.
underdogs.
in the
Yeah,
AFC.
underdogs. So obviously, I picked Ryan Tannehill. Obviously, a guy that I don't think I'll draft, but
You will not catch me drafting.
you
Ryan Tannehill
won't
this
catch
year.
me drafting him. But like, if like it's really late in the round and you want to pick up somebody, and like there's I guess because
I
I feel
guess.
like a lot of people pick up 2 quarterbacks, so you can see like. I don't know. People pick up 2 quarterbacks all the time, which I think is
They
dumb.
do.
But so I feel like sometimes in drafts, like especially mock drafts, when it's gone super late, I've had like no quarterbacks, bro. Because by the time I start like drafting the quarterback, people have already picked up 2. I'm like, what are y'all doing? So that's the only reason I put him there. But obviously, I have Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud. I put Malik Willis there because honestly, I think that if Ryan Tannehill does get a spot taken, I think it will be Malik Willis right
Not
now.
Will Levis?
Nope. After what I saw, I've watched the highlights from the preseason. Malik Willis looked. I mean, I know that he had an extra year on the team and everything. He looked comfortable. He put up a really good game too. I can't remember. Like I think it was like 180 yards or something.
The Bears game? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Or
Yeah, that
like,
Bears game was fun to watch.
so yeah, he put up like 180 yards. But and then obviously I picked Traylon Burks. I picked. Dude, I don't want to butcher his last name. Okonkwo.
I know who you're talking. Okonkwo.
The tight end from yeah.
Titans. He's
good.
He's a tight end I'm looking at
Yeah.
if for really late in the draft if you want a tight end. Okonkwo is definitely somebody who came on the scene last year.
And then obviously Zay Jones, Alex Pierce. I picked Zach Moss only because of the Jonathan Taylor news. Also, he's just a good backup. I feel like, especially if something did happen to JT, but he's a guy you could get super late just as a backup depth. I think.
Is
Like,
he even gonna be back? And he broke his arm. I think.
did he?
Yeah.
He said he was still the number 2. I like really look into. I didn't know he was injured or not.
I mean,
I just
think
looked at
didn't it say Taylor's reporting or something like
Yeah,
that?
that's what I've seen.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I think no. I'm saying like just
Brady,
in case, like if
just
anything
you said
happens.
broke his arm.
Zach Moss. I'm pretty sure.
I thought, I'm thinking.
Damn. Zach Moss?
Yeah.
I think he broke his arm like.
I didn't know that, but I'll just go next. I'll go like while they look it up. I got
did.
Dalton Schultz
Yeah.
and
Texas
why? And then I did throw in. No, I already threw in Traylon Burks. I put him twice for some reason.
Traylon Burks.
Twice, but
Burks.
Traylon Burks.
and then obviously I'm gonna save my sleeper for last. I just want to hear what do you think your guys' like biggest AFC South sleepers? You got one, Alex?
Alex already knows mine. Don't steal it.
I'll let Brady say it, but because I only knew I just kind of understood the direction Brady was going to go because I agree with Brady's sleeper. So Brady, you can go ahead and say it.
It's John Mechie the third. He was their second round pick last year. I don't even think he gets drafted. I have not seen him get drafted when I've done mock drafts in
Might
fantasy. He was their second round pick last year. He sat out all year because I believe of leukemia or something like that. And he should be a really big guy in this Texans depth chart that's going to be a weapon for CJ Stroud to target. He should have been a high upside guy last year that emerged on the scene. As I said, he wasn't able to play whatsoever last year, and I think he's a name that's completely forgotten about.
Yeah, I honestly did look at him, and I almost put him as one of my underdogs, but I just ended up missing on it. And just to follow up with that, I guess I'll just say my biggest sleeper now, because he's obviously on that same offense. I'm going to go Nico Collins as my biggest sleeper. He's a guy that has... Both seasons he's had less. I think his first year he had 32 targets, second year 37 targets, and had like right around 500 yards. So I feel, especially with like Brandon Cooks not being there anymore, I just feel like you're going to see one of the guys get a lot more targets. And I feel like Nico Collins is a guy that could definitely perform if he gets a little bit more targets. He averages like 13.5 yards per catch. So that's just a guy that I think, especially with Brandon Cooks on, that he can have a really good year this year.
All right, I have one real quick. I do not know much about this guy, but I've just been seeing a lot of talk around him. He is a Texans wide receiver named Tank Dell.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
I've heard of him.
They say he's an explosive
Tank
playmaker.
Dell.
Yeah, they say he's an explosive playmaker, and he's been seeing a lot from him in training camp.
What is he like a 1, 2, 3?
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
He's probably like a. I don't know. I don't know
slot
much about
guy.
him.
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know
Okay.
much about Tank Dell, to be honest.
Hopefully, we learn a lot this year about him.
I mean, if he becomes a name, then obviously, Jared's the one that mentioned us. I know we barely know anything about him.
I like how we literally all picked the Texans wide receiver. We all picked different ones.
It's
Because the
their
surrounding
wide receiver core is
piece.
just so open.
Yeah, like anyone could take it.
With Cooks gone, anyone could be the number one there in my
And with
opinion.
CJ
I
Stroud
was about to
throwing
say
him the
bring-
ball, it's like
Yeah.
his IQ is pretty high. Then the new coaching, D'Amico Ryan, you just have a solid foundation in Houston right now.
Yeah, so I think honestly for any fantasy user, especially if you draft a bunch of running backs early and you're kind of getting towards the end of the draft, you could wait till the very last round too, and you're like, oh, I just want to add another wide receiver that I think could go off. Adding any of those 3 wide receivers, I would probably say the 2 at first. I don't really know much about Dang
Well,
Tell.
see, exactly like you said, DeMarco, or how do you say his name?
D'Amico
D'Amico
Ryan.
Ryan is
Yeah.
also he's the one that said that stuff about him. So like you said, who knows? He could be one of the sleepers or one of the
Yeah.
go-to guys for the Texans.
Definitely some guy I'm gonna have to look up into and see
For
keep
sure.
eye on.
If you're go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
Okay, so I was going to transition to if you're looking at every offense in this division, what offense are you targeting? Is it the obvious Jacksonville with Doug Peterson?
I
And
think it's
Trevor-
fair assessment to say the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be the go-to team, but don't be sleeping on them Houston Texans because I feel like there's some upside, especially with Dameon Pierce at running back as well.
And I feel like another big thing too is I'm not trying to dog any Texans fans or the I just don't think your team's there yet where you're going to be competing for playoffs. So I feel like a lot of the games, I think they're going to be an up and coming team. In the next few years, I think the Texans are going to be a super solid squad that has a bunch of young talent. But I think in a couple of years their defense is going to be solid. I think their defense is solid now, but I just don't see them. I see them being down a lot of games for some reason. So I feel like that's why I really want to target their wide receivers, just because I feel like you're going to see a lot more throws going on. That's
Obviously, Tennessee's not as bad or as good as Jacksonville.
Jaguars,
Yeah. But are we going to sleep on D-Hop or what? You
Yeah,
think he's
I
going to
mean,
flip that whole offense around?
I never liked D-Hop to Tennessee, but
I don't think any of us did, to be
it can't
honest.
be ignored. He is there. He'll be clearly the number one there. And honestly, you can look at D-Hop, but I'm also looking at Traylon Burks, who might have a lot more or have a lot less attention on him with D-Hop maybe taking some of the attention away. With
Yeah.
Traylon Burks having a really good sophomore
I've been
year.
targeting Traylon Burks a lot.
I had a theory. I meant to say it earlier. We just started transitioning so fast to other stuff. What in a scenario where they just start throwing the check downs and letting Derrick Henry run a little more routes just to spread out the field and get less attention off of him to get the receiving core going. I don't know. I feel like if they put a little more balance with throwing the ball to Derrick Henry, people are like, oh shit, they're throwing the ball to Derrick Henry now. So they're going to be so focused on him running
Yeah, for
and
sure.
passing him the ball. So it's going to open up the field for Traylon Burks and D-Hop.
That's something.
That's just a theory. I have.
Definitely. There's something to fear about the Tennessee Titans playing from behind a lot this year. I believe in Mike Vrabel as a head coach. I didn't
Yeah,
believe in them
me
at
too.
all last year, and they got off to a pretty good. Well, they started off rough, I believe, and then went on a little bit of a run
Yeah,
after
and
beating
then-
the Packers, and then they fell off the earth
The
again.
Giants, man.
Yeah,
That
so,
game was insane.
So so basically, Mike Vrabel is someone I believe in, but Derrick
too.
Henry, if they're going to be playing from behind a lot this year, which is why that may scare you away from taking Derrick Henry and just trying to avoid him at all costs. But Derrick Henry's targets have gone up, year to year, so there could be a world where they use Derrick Henry in the passing game a lot more. If you have that, then you have yourself a very dynamic running back for the Titans, and I believe Derrick Henry can do it. It's just they've shown in the past they haven't utilized him the most in the passing game. Is just my fear with Derrick Henry, just because if they're playing from behind a lot, then you just don't know what kind of productivity you're getting from Derrick Henry.
And and I guess no disrespect, because I know Dameon Pierce can easily do it. That's also another reason why I'm kind of scared to get him. But at the same time, where he falls, I kind of feel comfortable taking him because I feel like right after Dameon Pierce, I'm just dude, I don't know who I want at running back now. So I feel like he kind of sketches me out, but he's like right there as like the last fringe running back where I feel like has major upside. So like I feel like you have to take him where he falls.
I'm
But
gonna say if you can grab him in a good round, then you definitely take Damian Pierce.
yeah, because he probably goes like what, fourth?
Yeah,
fourth.
fourth.
Yeah, I'd say
fifth?
fourth.
One team we haven't talked about a whole lot is the Colts, and I'm particularly wanting to talk about their wide receiver core. You mentioned Alec Pierce. Obviously, rookie year wasn't anything like too crazy, and then Michael Pittman as well.
I've been drafted him all the time.
Michael
Dustin's
Pittman
in
is
love with that guy.
Yeah, Michael Pittman is a guy that had some really good games last year. Obviously, the Colts offense was very, very inconsistent, so he was himself pretty inconsistent. But I think Michael Pittman's a guy that I'm really liking if you can get him as well. He goes towards the middle rounds, and he's a wide receiver I'd be targeting for the Colts, especially if Anthony Richardson can provide a spark immediately just for some decent quarterback play.
And that's another thing, too, that I want to bring up now that you're bringing up the Colts. Like, I really do like Michael Pittman, especially where he goes. I like him above a lot of wide receivers that go above him, honestly. So, and that's just my opinion, obviously, though. But also with Anthony Richardson, where he goes at like pick 100, I feel like he's just one of those quarterbacks where I've been drafting it a lot late because he just has that upside, and you already know he's going to be the starter. And if he can get any chemistry going with like Michael Pittman, and I really do like Alex Pierce too. That's why I put him as an underdog. I think he's a guy that can get the job done. So both those receivers, obviously Jonathan Taylor. That's just gonna be a nasty deal. You're gonna have Jonathan Taylor running the ball. You're gonna have Anthony Richardson running the ball, and then you're just gonna have those random throws, the Alex Pierce and Michael Pittman. Like, I'm just really high on Anthony Richardson. That's another quarterback that like why I haven't been drafting quarterbacks early, because I will take Anthony Richardson late all the time. Like, he's like one of my most drafted quarterbacks. Probably is
He's
Anthony
definitely
Richardson.
one of the most athletic rookies too.
Because he goes like right after, like Anthony Richardson's been falling like right after like 107. Like he's in that range, like 100 to 110. I'm pretty sure.
All right, so here's a little bit of would you rather. So let's go Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor. They pretty much go around the same range.
If JT's healthy, I'm going JT.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor.
I'm going Derrick Henry still.
I think I would roll with JT.
Man.
I
Can't do
did
it.
expect a bounce back year from Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah,
Last
me
year was a
too.
disaster.
Yeah,
for
the
him.
year before last year though, we seen what he could do, and it was
and honestly,
insane.
and like not to dog Jonathan Taylor, like he did miss a few games last season, and his stats weren't even terrible for missing those games. Like I think he still put up like 800 yards, yeah, and that's pretty solid. So like he's just a guy I know that can get it done, and it might be. I know I say this all the fucking time, and it doesn't prove me right ever. I just always have liked the Colts roster overall. I always say it, and it always comes back to backfire me. So, like, just looking at both rosters, I just feel like I do like the O-line for the Colts a little bit more. But didn't they suffer a big O-line injury, or am I tripping?
No, it was the Texans.
Texans,
That
okay.
we were gonna mention, but
Okay, but yeah, so like their O-line, I just like the Colts O-line a little bit more. So, obviously, O-lines help the running back, so that's why I picked JT.
all right. What about Travis Etienne or Damon Pierce?
Travis Etienne
Travis
all
Etienne.
day. That's not even
Yeah,
any
I'm gonna go
question.
Etienne. Okay.
He's my favorite out of like all four we just named.
All right. Second year wide receivers: Alec Pierce or Traylon Burks.
I'll go Traylon Burks for sure.
I'm going Traylon Burks as well.
I think D Hop is going to take a lot of attention
Traylon
away. And I
Burks.
expect a big bounce back
He's a
year from
guy.
Traylon
He's a
Burks.
guy that I was really high on going into his rookie season, and he kind of let me down. So I just think this sophomore season is going to be a bounce back for him. So
He had some games that he went off. In
Yeah,
fantasy
he
for sure.
did.
And Alex Pierce, I really don't even know much about him. Honestly.
Really?
I don't know if that
He's
says-
a-
I know who he
he's pretty
is,
good.
but it's not like I haven't seen.
He's
enough
solid.
from him.
Yeah.
Some
Again,
solid
the
games.
Colts
I guess.
offense was very inconsistent, so it's hard
It's hard to
really
judge because like that's why I
really.
feel like I feel like Michael Pittman, like after this year, like as long as Anthony Richardson plays a solid season, you're gonna see Michael Pittman go a lot higher next year than what he is, because he's falling like 60, 70. Like that was way too late for a wide receiver number one.
No, because that's exactly what I think of when you say the Colts wide receivers is immediately Pittman.
Michael, yeah.
CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson, the upside's just too crazy for me.
I'm gonna take Anthony Richardson just because athleticism.
Yeah.
I'm
Definitely
going.
puts him over the edge.
Is this going to be another Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields moment for us?
I disagree with you too. I'm going CJ Stroud.
I think in fantasy, I think Richardson being a little bit more mobile, I think I would go Richardson. But
I just
I will
trust
say I
Stroud's
don't know
throwing
much
ability.
about Stroud and Richardson, so
Hey,
Don't take that
Alex.
advice
And
from me.
I'm just saying this as a fantasy perspective, because going into the draft when the Rays were trying to trade it for the number one pick, I didn't even want us to get Bryce Young. Who was I say? I wanted C.J. Stroud as our quarterback going into the season.
I
You
get
said
that.
Bennett, didn't
I
you?
just
Huh?
trust CJ Stroud's
Stetson Bennett.
arm ability and IQ over
Richardson.
Richardson's. I know Richardson can run the ball a lot better, but CJ Stroud's still very mobile and can run the ball. I'm not expecting him to rush for 1,000 yards or anything, but I do know if pocket collapse, CJ Stroud can get you 20, 30 easy.
All right, my last one is gonna be Dalton Schultz or Okonkwo.
Okonkwo all day.
Ooh, that's good.
Okonkwo, baby.
Honestly, I'm rolling with Schultz.
Yeah, I'm
rolling with Schultz.
I'm gonna roll with Okonkwo. I think Okonkwo showed a lot last year, and although I don't trust the Titans quarterback, I don't know if we can trust Texans yet.
I mean,
Will
that's an issue
Malik
with all
Willis.
the teams.
Yeah, almost every team in this division is kind of a mystery at quarterback, other than
love it.
Obviously the Jags. But with that being said, that is our fantasy segment. Now we can segue to our biggest questions for this division.
Real quick,
Go ahead.
did we cover enough in news?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like we
Tyrus
have.
Howard hurt.
Huh?
Titus Howard broke
Well,
his hand.
I mean more of just the NFL overall. Or are we just basing it from this division?
No, just this
Okay,
division
okay,
today.
okay, for
If
sure.
there was more news to talk about, there'd be a lot more. But we're just focused on
And
this division
I
today.
honestly kind of I don't want to bring this up because I know we're doing like the AFC South preview, but we haven't even mentioned Dalvin Cook. I feel like that's something
That's
we
what I was saying.
did.
Oh,
Ezekiel
yeah.
Elliott. I was gonna say Ezekiel Elliott too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zeke, that is something we could have talked about.
That's-
Ezekiel Elliott signed with the Patriots. He'll do nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I think that's a pretty good signing. I think that's going to take a lot of pressure off from Andre Stevenson, and then obviously Dalvin Cook to the Jets. I think that was kind of more of I think it's kind of unnecessary, but it was more of a new move to appeal Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure. So.
Yeah. And then I also do want to say R.I.P. to Alex Collins.
Oh yeah.
That is devastating. He had
Yeah.
gotten a motorcycle crash.
And he was playing at a high level as
Yeah.
well.
He was especially for the Seahawks and then
Yeah.
also for the Ravens as well.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
Yep. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to Alex Collins.
All right, so we're starting off questions.
Questions for the AFC South.
I'm going to start with the Titans just because I really like their defense still. I think their defense is very balanced. So obviously we got Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Autry, Tart, Aziz Al-Ashar. Just bear with me. Obviously there's a lot of players in the NFL. So Amani Hooker, Kevin Byard, who's a big-time vet.
Oh,
He's been there for a long time. Fulton's there now. Sean Murphy-Button, who played for the 2020 Bucks, a very, very, very good defense. So obviously, I think the biggest questions we can already ask ourselves is the quarterback situation. We know the coaching's there. Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis, Will Levis. Who is going to be the starting quarterback? Who's going to send this organization in the right direction? And I think another big question, because I don't got much questions about the defense. I think the defense is obviously there. I think another big question is how is this offense going to balance out with D-Hop and Traylon Burks? And Derrick Henry run the ball? Are they going to rely on the heavy running game, or are they finally going to spread it out a little more and pass it? I guess that comes down to Mike Variable, but I think at the end of the day, the biggest question is quarterback situation.
Well, I think since bringing in D-Hop, you have to switch to passing. You just don't bring in a guy of that talent and just keep running Derrick Henry like they always do.
And I feel like another thing, sorry to cut you
No,
off,
you're
Jerry, is just like, I feel like Derrick Henry's also getting older in age. So I feel like even though like that team's always been a run heavy team with Derrick Henry, and I think he's still going to get amazing yards, I feel like you might see him take a few steps back on the amount of attempts he gets, just so they can like try to get the passing game in there. And even though I picked Ryan Tannehill as an underdog, that is not, like Bray said, he's not a guy I'd be drafting either, unless like there's nobody left. Because you, but I mean,
you better be in a 32-man league.
literally.
Damn.
But at the same time, like I said, like I just feel like mid-season, and this is like my bold prediction going for the AFC South going in is that I think Malik Willis is going to be the starter by like week 7.
Yeah, I have
be,
no
for sure.
I have no belief in Ryan Tannehill anymore. I think if you're going to start him for the first few games, he's fine. He's a fine quarterback,
Yeah.
but I just don't really know what the Tennessee Titans are trying to do ultimately, whether it's like compete right now, which it feels like they are, or if they should move more towards like rebuilding, which is why I never was a fan of the D-Hop situation to begin with. So I think it's all going to depend on how this team starts out. If they start out with like a, 2-2 record, they're probably still going to try to make things happen. But let's say they go like 1-5 to start out the season. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if they did, then you really got to start questioning, what are we doing here? Are we going to, pull the plug on the season? Are we going to roll with Malik Willis or Will Levis? There were some reports about the team potentially cutting Malik Willis, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen there now. Obviously, they just drafted Will Levis, so
I don't think they're not going to count him
It was
now.
saying Malik
Yeah.
Willis was the number 2 on the depth.
Yeah. I've
so
seen that.
was a while ago, and then now that you're saying that makes sense. But I don't know who is going to start for this team. If it's going to be Ryan Tannehill all year, that's probably a good sign that this team was good. But if there is a quarterback change, that tells me that obviously things were not, unless an injury happens, obviously. But if it's because Mike Vrabel decides to pull Ryan Tannehill,
but also, what if it's like week 1 and Ryan Tannehill just goes out there and doesn't play good, and Mike Vrabel is just like, fuck it.
sure,
Okay,
Yes,
I literally think
fuck
it's this. This is literally the simple plan is Ryan Tannehill, he doesn't perform, right?
Yep.
He shits the bed, couple weeks, whatever, gets replaced. You got these 2 guys that are ready to go out there and take his position. You don't, like I said, back to the D-Hop thing. You don't go and bring a receiver that talent to just not lose. Don't pull the plug on the season, nothing like that.
You
know what I
can't
mean?
do
That's
that.
talent
That's very
there.
true. That's a very good point.
Because like you still have like a lot of their players are like even Alex mentioned a few vets on their defense. Like a lot of their players are older, so I feel like they're kind of like in win now mode. So I feel like if you ain't gonna compete this year, that it just made you like kind of waste a year because like you paid all these guys, you got all these old vets, you kept Derrick Henry, you paid Hopkins, like and like if it doesn't work out and they just flop, like that's gonna look really bad. Because like honestly, in my opinion, I feel like it should be the Jags number 1 in the spot, and then obviously the Titans probably competing for a wild card spot, in my opinion. I don't see but that's the thing too is I also don't see the Titans winning that division at all, and like in the AFC is already hard enough to get a wild card spot. So like that's another thing that's sketching me out about the Titans because I don't think they're number 1.
So
team.
do you think the overall like question with the coach Mike Vrabel is this season the season to see who's the starting quarterback? Like, is that really what is? Do you think that's like the true direction they're trying to go with this organization?
I've been on record saying I have no idea what the Titans are doing, to be honest. I literally don't like what they've been doing. I never liked the D-Hop signing. I think this team should not be wasting any time. I don't, like Dustin just said, this AFC is stacked as it is. Even if the Titans find a way to squeeze into the playoffs, I can't see them going very far at all. I think they're a team that should more or less be tanking, but obviously, you don't just give up like that. I get that point, but I just feel like they should be more towards like trading players for draft picks. They could have maybe moved on from Derrick Henry while he's at the peak of his value still. And I know that's the identity of their team. Not to rip on the Titans, I just don't see where this is going, in my opinion. And I don't know if that's the game plan to see who's going to start this year. I would love to just see you throw out Malik Willis or Will Levis and just this be a rebuild year for them, similar to what the other 2 teams are doing, kind of. But I guess the Colts are kind of in that mold too. So
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of tough, man. I don't know.
I feel like the only one that's not in that mold is the Texans. The Texans are like
Texans
already
are definitely
rebuilding.
for sure.
Yeah. So I feel like, but yeah, like you said, with the Colts and Titans, that's why it's just so sketchy to me. Because like I think the Jags are just gonna run away with this division because like I just don't think there's even like they're like 2 tiers above all the other teams in my opinion right now. And then in the AFC, I just cannot see any of those guys sneaking a wild card spot. You're gonna have teams like the AFC North fighting for spots, the AFC East fighting for wild card spots. Like all those teams are gonna be fighting for wild card spots. The AFC West, like I just can't see that like multiple teams from the AFC South being in playoffs this year.
Well, back to Alex's question real quick. He said, "Do you wait the whole season to find out who your quarterback is?" Like I said, find out the first 4 weeks. If Ryan Tannehill ain't doing it, pull the plug on him, put one of those other guys in. Like you said, there's just no time to waste.
All right, let's move on to the next team.
Okay. Houston is going to be the next team. I'm looking at their offensive roster. You got Damian Pierce, Nico Collins, Robert Woods, who was an absolute
I forgot to put him as an underdog.
Yeah.
Robert Woods.
I really saw him and I was gonna put him and I forgot.
Noah Brown.
Had him down.
Yeah.
Noah Brown. is
Noah
another guy.
Brown. Obviously, we talked about Dalton Schultz a little bit. Their O-line's looking pretty good. Titus Howard obviously got hurt. They got Laramie Tunsil, who's back. And then the rest, honestly, don't really know much about him. Got Will Anderson in the draft. So Denzel Perryman is there. They got Derek Stingley Jr., who I think is going to come up big this year. Jimmy Ward's there. He just left San Francisco. So really, it's just like hard to formulate questions with the Houston Texans, but I do believe one of the biggest questions is DeMeco Ryan going to set this organization in the right direction? It's obviously a rebuild year. Is all these weapons that they've got going to come up big for them? Is CJ Stroud going to perform at least a 500 level? I think this team can go 500. That's a big question.
Too. I'm under the belief that DeMeco Ryans is going to be the coach that's going to be here for a very long time. The Texans have been cycling through head coaches. He comes from the Kyle Shanahan tree, and that tells me all I need to know. Robert Saleh, the former defense coordinator for the 49ers, obviously we know what he's doing for the Jets. He came in there, had them playing around 500 football last year, and now this year, the expectations are through the roof for them, obviously, with the Aaron Rodgers addition. But
who's the number 1 receiver on depth chart? Sorry.
Oh, anyway, DeMeco Ryans, I have no concerns about. I think he is absolutely going to be the guy going for the Texans.
Do we think
Easily.
this is like a test season for the Texans though?
I mean, this is to go do whatever happens here.
Yeah, I feel like you're
you
not.
guys
I
mentioned
feel like the
they're on the
Texans are
rebuild
not
right
under.
now, pretty
Yeah.
I
much,
feel
right?
like compared to like every other team, well, obviously like the Jags already have the expectation that they can go make playoffs again. But I feel like the Colts and Titans windows are just closing, so I feel like that you have to compete as those teams. Don't get me wrong, I do think the Colts do have a lot of young talent that will like work out later down the road. But at this point, like a lot of their defense is a lot older, and I feel like, unless I'm mistaken,
For the Colts?
for the Colts, yeah.
I mean, DeForest Buckner is kind of up there, and then you got some, and then you got like Shaquille Leonard, who's up there in 8. So
Yeah.
yeah, some of their guys are kind of up there.
So I feel like out of all those teams in the division, I feel like the Texans are at the least amount of pressure. I feel like it's a team
for
that
sure.
people are expecting the least from, but I feel like they could definitely put up a spot for like that number 2 spot in
If
the
they
AFC
make
South.
the playoffs, that's because CJ Stroud played good.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
That is exactly what you'd want to see for a development of CJ Stroud. Obviously, those aren't the expectations. So if you exceed over expectations, that puts you in a different mold going to next year. But this year, there's no expectation for the Texans. And it feels comfortable being in that spot. But once you over exceed, obviously the expectations go higher the very next year.
Exactly.
But then also they got time to build around him too as well,
Exactly.
bring in pieces to fit that team.
Exactly.
Is Will Anderson gonna live up to the hype this year?
I mean, they traded up for him. They gave up their own first, I believe, to get him. So they better. I mean, that's another thing I forgot to even mention. The Texans traded their own draft pick on draft night to move up for Will Anderson. So their first round pick is going to be going to the Cardinals. So it will be interesting to see what this Texans team does this year.
I know this is
D'Amico Ryan,
Because there's no
is
need for there's
a
no reason for
linebacker
them to
whisperer.
tank.
He played linebacker at Bama.
Yeah.
So
I know this is gonna sound biased as fuck to say because we obviously drafted DN this year,
Whoever
but
said the Raiders are going to win the
I
Super
feel
Bowl.
no. I feel like Will Anderson is definitely the more consistent guy, the guy that I think that is gonna get the job done. But I just feel like Tyree Wilson, even in my opinion, he was my number 1 DN going into the draft. I even put him when we did our little mock draft. That was the first DN I had going off the board was Tyree Wilson. I just feel like he had the more upside, but he did have injury concerns. So I just think that Will Anderson was the more consistent guy, but I don't think he was the best DN in the draft. Like, and that's just obviously my opinion. And that was my opinion before the Raiders even drafted him because I didn't think he was gonna fall that far.
I literally can't believe the Texans trading their first round pick slipped my mind because I was going to say that, maybe later towards the year they start to just try to like tank a little bit, but there's no reason for them to. They're not going to get their own pick regardless. So this team
You just be helping out someone else.
Yeah, you'll be
literally.
helping out the Cardinals, who they traded with to move up to pick number 3 or whatever it was to get Will Anderson.
Oh, but I feel like that's kind of sketchy for the Cardinals too, because I feel like if you get an early pick, would you just trade that if you're the Cardinals? Oh, we'll get into that, I guess.
Yeah, I don't.
We'll get into that. We'll see how the Texans do this season, but
I like where the Texans are at. I forget that they traded their pick. I don't love that for them, but still, they went out and got their guy Will Anderson. We can move on to the next team.
okay, Colts. I'm gonna start off with their defense because I'm seeing that DeForest Buckner is questionable, Kenny Moore is questionable. They finally got Shaquille Leonard back. I feel like a lot of people forgot about who Shaquille Leonard was,
Oh, he was
especially
dog.
2-3 years ago. Obviously, probably the best linebacker in the league, top 3 in the league. With Kenny Moore being questionable, I think the secondary of this defense is going to be having a rough time because a few years ago, even Cooper Kupp himself said the best defensive back that I played last year was Kenny Moore.
Interesting.
So it's crazy that the jump from the year Cooper said that to the next year. I think a big problem with the secondary is he didn't have any help. He don't have any help, especially
Yeah, who
over
did they
top.
replace Gilmore with? Or who did they even get? I don't even know who's on there.
I'm seeing Juju Brents. I honestly don't even know
Yeah, I
who that
don't
is.
know
Like,
much
I
about
apologize. Like, there's a lot of players in the NFL. So a big question for me is, what's this defense gonna do this year? Obviously, we were gonna question Anthony Richardson. What is he gonna do this year? We got our sleepers: Alec
Alec
Pierce, Michael Pittman. I forgot that the Colts have Isaiah McKenzie,
Oh yeah,
which
that's
is a
another
solid
really good-
little weapon for him.
that was a
And then-
Bills receiver, right?
Yep.
And then Jonathan Taylor's still there. Zach Moss is questionable. But
And you know who's another sleeper for me, but he's not even in the starting role right now
Who?
that I forgot to mention. I love Mo Alley Cox. Like, he always has those random games where he goes off the tight end.
yes. So what is in store for this Colts defense? Are they gonna flop? Is it gonna be another year where teams are just scoring 20, 30, 40 points on them every game? Plus with Anthony Richardson, what is he gonna do this year? Who's even the head coach for the Colts?
It is Shane Steichen,
yeah.
I believe. Or
Okay.
is it the other guy? I always get the Eagles coordinators mixed around. So Steichen is there for the Cardinals, and I can't think of the other guy, but I'm pretty sure Steichen's on the Colts. But you can correct me on that. I might be back. That might be wrong. It's Steichen, and then
the head coach is Shane Steichen.
Okay,
Shane
so I was
Steichen.
right. I was forgetting on. Oh, Jonathan Gannon is the Colts, Cardinals head coach, I
Mhm.
believe. So, yeah, I always get those two mixed up.
So what's in store for this Colts defense? Because honestly, I have them last in the division right now.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to expect
do.
from the Colts this year, to be honest. I think they're right in that window with the Titans, where it's not as bad in my opinion. But I think that the Colts could be a team that makes the playoffs, and it also could be a team that just flops again. Like, they're right in the middle. I believe in Shane Steichen to come over and help Anthony Richardson development, but I don't know what to expect from this defense this year, especially if Shaquille Leonard has another year where he can't stay healthy. Is he even the same guy anymore? Because he was very, very much hurt last year a lot. And obviously, the only good corner they have right now, I feel like, is Kenny Moore, and they traded away Gilmore. So I don't really know what to expect from the Colts this year, to be honest.
Well, as you guys mentioned, their defense is getting older. That's obviously going to play factors in them being hurt, I think, more, or being out longer than usual as if they were younger.
But I also feel like when it comes down to the Colts, their defense is definitely a big question mark. But we've seen teams like the Bengals and Chiefs that have not had very good defenses, but had a bunch of offensive power. So I feel like that is another thing that you can see the Colts do is just because I feel like honestly, out of all the like I said, I love the Colts O line. I think that is one of the it's probably my favorite O line, except for maybe the Jags in that division. So I feel like that just helps Anthony Richardson out. I feel like his run game is going to be there. I just feel like their offensive power at all four of the teams is second to me. Like, I feel like if I had to rank them right now, offensive power, I'd say Jags, Colts, probably Titans and Texans, just to be on the safe side, even though I want to pick Titans last. But
yeah, Colts are just such. We'll talk about that as
Colts
we keep going.
mystery,
They're such a mystery to me. I think that if Richardson has a really good season, they could easily be a playoff team. I liked them last year a lot when they brought in Matt Ryan, but I don't know, man.
That's just a curse.
And I feel bad because I'm always kind of not dissing the Colts, but I just don't really see the picture, especially last year. But now they got a rookie, but I still don't see their offense, like Dustin said, being able to compete up with their defense slack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't see that at all. I'm kind of sold.
I didn't say it was. I said, but it could. I said it could.
I think I've sold my stock in the Colts. I had some last year, and I don't think I have it anymore.
When'd you buy out?
As soon as I don't even know.
As soon as week 3 hit,
I am just not high on the Colts at all.
Yeah, I can agree with
I was
Alex.
last year. This year, I'm not.
You guys both were.
We were very much on the Colts.
I
wasn't even here yet, but I was on the Colts train too.
I'm on the last card of the train, about to hop out, though. You know what I mean?
That ship sailed. Sorry, Colts.
Is there any questions for the Jaguars?
Dude,
no.
I mean, there's not any big questions. Obviously, we want to see Trevor Lawrence do what he did last year and elevate. Doug Peterson, the coaching's there. Trayvon Walker. I remember Dustin said first pick that draft was going to be Trayvon Walker.
And
Trayvon Walker was correct. I think Trayvon Walker's going to come up big. They got Josh Allen on defense still. The safety, number 2. Let me look at his name. Rashawn Jenkins. I always get him confused with Janoris Jenkins. It's not the same guy. Man, really, I honestly don't have any big questions for the Jags. I think the biggest question we all want to ask ourselves is, which starting receiver is going to come up big? Which starting receiver is going to be the true number 1? Because I feel like it's kind of in the air still. We want to see the obvious suspect like Christian Kirk or Calvin Ridley come up big. But if we're all just going to go around, make a prediction right now, who's going to be the number 1 receiver in Jacksonville this year?
Give it past week 5, Calvin Ridley.
I think we kind of said it already, so you already know who I'm rolling with already. Calvin Ridley.
After week 5, Calvin Ridley will be
I obviously think they both have the potential to be number 1s, but I'm going to stay on the Christian Kirk train.
Maybe they just forced Christian Kirk to be the number 1 because he's paid so much more.
And they have one of the best kick and punt returners in the league, Jamal Agnew. Can't forget about him. He is an absolute stud. I really want to go Calvin Ridley, but right now I'm going to stick with Christian Kirk just because I feel like it's a safer bet. And I got to see Calvin Ridley do what he did in Atlanta. I love Calvin Ridley.
I think easily both of them could be 1,200-yard receivers.
For sure.
Justin, are you itching to say Zay Jones?
Not as the number 1.
Was he one of your sleepers or no?
Yeah.
Okay, I was making sure. Ooh,
he went off last year.
Are you kidding me? Derek Carr got him paid. Of course he's one of my sleepers.
I was saying, I think it was 4 or 5 podcasts ago, I was saying Zay Jones was one of my sleepers just because, the moments he need to come up big, it's some reason Derek Carr's throwing the ball or Trevor Lawrence. It's just like it's crazy to me. Like
Zay
just
Jones
give
would
him the
always have
football.
his random sparks, especially like that year with
He's so
us.
fast and,
I
like,
really like.
strides are so
He wasn't
long.
like the number
Wow.
one receiver
Sorry,
on our
I'm kidding.
team, like when he was playing with us. But dude, he would have those random games where like Zay Jones would make a crazy catch, and I'd be watching the game with my dude. I wanted us to keep Zay Jones so bad after that year, and then obviously he went to the Jags, which happy he went there, went to a good team, but. I really did like Zay Jones a lot. And that he was one of my first sleepers I wrote down, dude. I love Zay Jones.
I think my biggest question for the Jaguars, which ultimately just leads into the final verdict in my opinion, is so obviously if we just go through our final verdict, I think most of us would be on the train that the Jaguars should win this division.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anybody that could potentially challenge them? I mean,
Tennessee.
Dude, I don't know why. Like, I just got a feeling that the Texans might do something this year, bro.
like I said, they have no reason to suck on
I-
purpose, so
I really
could be.
I feel like
You think they're gonna win the division though?
no, I don't think they're gonna win the division. I think they have a shot of maybe running for the division, but they're not gonna win the division.
I feel like they can make playoffs, like sneak in and like because what was it?
I'm
what
just
was,
really high on the Texans.
what was the
dude.
cutoff last year? I'm sorry, I'm blanking. It was like what was the cutoff last year for the AFC wild cards? Was it like 9 wins? How many wins did the? Because you guys were a wild card.
Yeah, it was
weren't
like
you?
9 wins because the Dolphins snuck in there with like 9 wins and a
Yeah.
tie.
Yeah,
I
see,
think.
so like 9 wins was like the right out of the cutoff next year, or last year. So
Yeah,
I
they
think
went
honestly, if
9-7-1.
you could see the Texans at like 9-10 wins, I think you could easily see them competing for a play. I mean, that goes for any of these teams, obviously, besides the Jags. I'm assuming he's winning the division, but
So we got obviously Jacksonville is going to win the division. Who is going to be in that 2 seed spot?
Could be Tennessee, I think.
Yeah, I think I would go with Tennessee as well, just because I trust Mike Vrabel as a coach. I do trust Mike Vrabel ultimately.
Me too.
I think he's a great coach. So.
I just said I'm on the last card of the train. But with the last card of the train, I gotta take second place Colts.
So Texans. You got Colts going what?
Second place in the division.
Okay.
I'm on the last card of the train. Okay.
Colts are my last.
Yeah, I was about to say. Cool.
Texans are at my 3.
Yeah, I think Jaguars have it ultimately. They should anyway. And then the second spot, the rest of the division's wide open for second, third, and fourth, in my opinion. It could go either way, ultimately. My biggest question goes beyond this division for the Jaguars. Are they going to step up into a tier, above what they are this year? Are they going to be the team that, you remember when the Bengals, weren't really thought of anything too crazy and they came out there and beat the Chiefs? Could they be like that this year?
I don't think so.
I
I think the
think
AFC is way too competitive for them to be able to take one of those top 3 spots to replace the Chiefs, Bills, or Bengals, or Ravens, or any other team over there. I don't
But
think so.
I was just bring that up. I like, and this is no disrespect to the Ravens, but I feel like the Ravens and Jags would be in the same tier for me, like teams
Nah,
that can
we'd sweep
that
their
can.
shit.
I don't.
They
sweep
beat
them.
y'all last year,
They
though.
beat us last year on some bullshit.
Giant. And
Brady, if
Ravens
you-
have
if you-
some.
Ravens or Jags? Who are you
Games.
choosing right now?
Oh my goodness. Put me on the spot, why don't you?
Jacksonville level
Dude,
up.
I
to
love
that.
both those teams in the AFC this year. I don't know. That's a tough question.
Or just know we got a wide receiver.
They
position,
definitely
so-
have the
so
potential.
Ravens.
Yeah, both the Jaguars and Ravens are great teams in the AFC. They're the 2 teams that are like you really want to see make that next echelon jump this year.
They're the kryptonites of.
Chargers also.
There's 3.
Although they blew the
Whoa.
27-0 lead, I like them as well.
Bills. Okay, so we got the Bills, Chiefs,
Oh, yeah,
Bengals. Their kryptonites are the Ravens. I'm blanking. I'm sorry.
But who's the kryptonite to this team?
To like it's 3v3. The kryptonites are the Jags. Sorry, I'm blanking so hard right now.
Ravens, I'm assuming.
The Ravens and maybe the
Chargers?
Jets. Maybe the Jets. We're talking
What,
the
you
whole
mean
division.
Miami,
The
maybe?
AFC is so wide open,
AFC,
bro.
I'm saying,
Like,
I
there's
don't
so
feel like-
many good teams.
The AFC it's like just stacked. That's what it is. I don't necessarily I wouldn't describe it as wide open because that's what I would describe the NFC as.
Okay,
But the
that makes sense.
AFC is like just it's gonna be a dogfight. It literally is. I think you're gonna have because you can mention the Chiefs, the Bengals, and obviously the Bills, and then behind that, you could go I'm not no order by the way. Ravens, Jaguars, Chargers,
Chargers.
and then you're still leaving out teams like the Dolphins, the Jets. If Deshaun Watson is good, you got the Browns, Mike Tomlin,
Maybe even the Patriots.
Patriots, Bill Belichick, Mike Tomlin. The AFC it's so.
It's stacked.
It's not even
stacked.
close.
Real
It's
quick,
stacked.
we're
One
gonna
team
see-
is going to be left out that shouldn't be.
Jacksonville. We're going to see that battle again. December 17th, and it's a primetime game, okay?
See, that's a game I would be want to pay attention to. So, do you think? Does anyone think the Jaguars could be a Super Bowl team this year?
Yes.
No. I'm sorry, no.
That's a very, very, very hard question.
Alex, that is the
'Cause
easiest question
This,
I've
would,
asked
be, this
all
would be
day.
the time for the Jaguars to take that leap
I'm
based off what they did last year.
I'm saying no.
Listen, last year they shouldn't even won the damn playoff game. How do you blow that?
That's true.
That is
I'm
crazy.
saying no. I just feel like I know the Jags won, but
I'm not taking anything away from
Chargers.
Jacksonville because they've done
Chargers
great
should have
things,
won that game.
but-
And two, you still got to take down the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Bills, and honestly, I don't even know if the I know we haven't seen Aaron Rodgers play with the Jets. I'm not saying the Jets are a super contending team. I really won't have an answer for that until like week 8, but I still think like the Jets would beat that team, beat the Jags.
Yeah,
I
because
do.
the Jaguars have the advantage of guaranteeing themselves a playoff spot because their division is not as competitive as like the Jets.
I feel like it's the weakest division.
Yeah, oh, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
It's the weakest division in
In the AFC, my
in
bad.
the
Yeah,
AFC.
not in the league.
Yeah.
Not, in the league, my
Not in the
bad.
NFL. In the AFC, it's the weakest division. So the Jaguars should be able to guarantee themselves a playoff spot.
For
There's
sure.
no excuses.
based
not
off
to.
last year, yes.
Yeah, based off last year, I believe in Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence to take another leap, and you're adding Calvin Ridley to this offense. There's no reason why the Jags can't be a playoff team.
I mean, you said Super Bowl team. What's your answer
Yeah,
for that?
that was crazy.
Oh yeah, okay. I think it could happen. I might be crazy, but
Dude.
we
Smoking that
didn't
shit.
expect it when it
Yeah,
happened.
some
For
tough
the,
shit.
did we expect it to happen when it was the Bengals? Right? Did anyone see that coming?
I feel like we not even a
The
little
year-
bit when they
the year
brought
that-
Joe Burrow in.
No,
Jamar
no. I
Chase.
don't think anybody was predicting Joe Burrow to go to the Super Bowl.
No,
nobody
was.
No, nobody.
They
was on
started
the
off
Bengals
like
train.
2-4.
Yeah, nobody.
Or
Did
you
he
just
get
saying
injured
that
his
year?
first
Because then the
season,
year
too?
before they played
He-
Drake.
He tore his
No,
ACL.
no.
Yeah.
Didn't he tear his ACL the next year he went to Super Bowl? Right?
He tore his ACL his rookie year. Next year went to Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That's what I'm telling you. No one had any
Crazy.
expectations for the Bengals like that.
Because
No.
everyone was dogging the Bengals, saying like their O line's ass, like all these
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Because that's why Joe Burrow got injured because his O line was ass. So like they
Dude,
went into the
he
next
got
season, they're like, oh, his O line's not gonna hold up. Joe Burrow's not gonna do anything. He's just gonna get injured again. Then that dude went out and balled out. So,
So I'm trying to make this clear. He got hurt. He didn't play a full season at all.
He played. Yeah, he
He
got
played
hurt
like-
from played. He
I think
played
he
against
played like-
Washington and he tore his ACL. 'cause
First
Chase
week
Young hit
one.
him. It was not week 1. It was probably like week. I don't even remember.
Are we sure that next season after they went to the Super Bowl?
Yes,
It wasn't the
I'm
season after
positive.
that
I
one?
am pretty positive it was the very next season he went to the Super Bowl. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that was the case though.
Because I don't know.
his
That's-
first season.
First season towards ACL. The next
First
year he went to
season
Super Bowl, right?
Yes. Yes.
Next season with the Super Bowl.
Yes. See, that's what I'm telling you. No one had the Bengals on their radar.
Justin did.
Jaguars, yes, they're kind of on the radar a little bit, but no one has them as the radar of like, okay, they're going to the Super Bowl. It's there. It's possible. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that there is a opportunity for this to happen.
No, just
I
show
mean,
me.
I do have my card right now, the dick riding card on the Jags. So I'll put that up for now, but
Put it up for now, baby. Yeah, we ain't
but
putting
I'm
that
still
out yet.
riding with them. But
Oh, yeah.
I'm on record saying I have it out right now. This is just my phone, but I have it digitally on my phone.
the dick
So, yeah, I'm on board with the Jaguars being a potential Super Bowl team. I'm not predicting it. I'm not saying Jaguars 100,000% going to Super Bowl, but I would not be shocked.
No, this is
It
the
was
blank.
until
No,
week
this,
11 he
this is
tore
the
it.
week
Yeah,
11.
it was-
So we already
I
knew
just
Joe
wanna
Burrow was
see
bad
that.
as before you heard it. So let's get that out of the way. But then check this out. You said,
What
are
did
they
you
going to the
say?
Super Bowl? Not potentially. Not can they? Yes or no?
No.
That's what you asked.
No, I
Can
said,
they go to the Super Bowl? Yes or no? I just want to hear.
I
it.
meant
Yes or
can.
no?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
I meant to say can they. I wasn't saying are they going to the
No.
Super Bowl.
it's not like our favorite. Just saying, as a team that
Yeah,
you think
I
you'd
was
see
saying
the
if
Super Bowl.
you see the potential of them making it to the Super Bowl.
And actually, real quick, let me bring in that Bengals
Ugh.
thing real quick because he said he got hurt week 11. I think we knew what Joe Burrow was capable of within those 11
but
weeks.
Jared, I'm trying to tell you that.
Nobody expected him to come back and
Nobody
go to the
expected
Super
the
Bowl.
Bengals to
But
go
we
to
knew
the Super
we
Bowl.
knew the potential of Joe Burrow.
Oh, for
Regardless.
sure, 100,000%. Everyone knew the potential of that, but no one, and I mean no one, thought Joe Burrow. Maybe there's some psycho out there that thought this, but
Probably a Cincinnati fan.
no one thought the Bengals were going to Super Bowl.
Maybe
the
not
year
Super
they
Bowl,
did.
but a deep playoff.
No,
run because of
it
Joe
wasn't
Burrow.
because of Joe Burrow. It was never the fact that like Joe Burrow is a question mark. It was always the Bengals roster as a question mark as to why they wouldn't make playoffs. So I feel like it was like because it was never Joe Burrow's fault why they were like the
'Cause
underdogs.
that was Jamar Chase's rookie year, wasn't it? So
What?
when they went Super Bowl.
Jamar's rookie year, they went to the Super Bowl. Jamar broke the rookie receiving yard record and absolutely went off.
So let's just not just put this all on Burrow. Jamar Chase helped.
But Jaguars are
Big
adding
time.
a Calvin Ridley
Oh my
with a
gosh.
Christian Kirk.
And their
And
defense
Zay
is really
Jones.
fucking
that
good.
could take. I'm not gonna. Should I say this? Could take it a Watson effect.
Calvin, wait, what?
A Watson effect.
He's not taking in a Watson
Okay.
effect.
He didn't
You need
play.
to chill
What?
out.
Here, and now he's coming back.
Playing wide receiver and quarterback is so much different,
Who
though.
fucking knows, man? We'll see.
They've already
If
been
it-
saying Calvin Ridley's been balling out there.
Man, it's a training camp. You're playing to get your own boys, dude. We'll see.
Oh my! But Jared just a second ago. Oh, in joint practice we were
We were
down.
playing against another team. They're starting caliber people.
So
not
we
just our defense.
so we-
the team
so-
that we know, the guys we play with and practice every single
so
day with.
okay. So not even talking about the 34-7.
Right or wrong, Brady?
Correct.
We dominated. We dominated the 49ers in joint
Oh,
practice.
You guys
And
probably had fucking your all starters out there in that bitch.
no, it was joint practice.
That's our preseason. Never mind.
I saw a Raiders fan.
We had 8
No, you know what game I was thinking of? Just cause I imagined Derek Carr and I was thinking of the Saints game versus fucking
Chiefs.
Yeah, I was thinking of that game.
And they had-
No.
the
We
Jared
had,
Carr popped
we had
in my
8
head.
O'Connell starting basically. None of our defensive starters, and we were
Yeah,
still.
my bad.
We blew them out preseason 34-7, and we just dominated them in joint practice with all the
I
starters.
know. I was gonna say I saw a Raiders fan the other day flex that they won a preseason game.
I don't care about the preseason game. I'm talking about the
It's like
joint
just-
practice.
Yeah, did you hear that the Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, they were throwing interceptions to the Raiders defensive backs, basically.
Oh yeah, that was tearing shit up.
Yeah, so that's what Dustin was kind of
It's Las Vegas year, right, Dusto?
The secondary.
Super Bowl favorites, baby. No, I'm
It's
just kidding.
Jags. It's the Jags year, man. This is the year they pop
It's the
off.
Giants here.
Oh God, we gotta get out of here.
I mean, we're starting with the NFC East next week. Actually.
Yeah. So wait. So what you guys are just basically said is the Jags have a better shot of a Super Bowl than the Giants?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Think
for
so?
sure.
Damn fucking
Actually,
haters.
I didn't
okay,
say
hold on,
anything.
hold on.
I was gonna say, God damn,
Hold on.
that's
The
a stretch.
NFC, if the Jags were in the NFC, absolutely. But since you have the competitive nature of the AFC compared to the NFC, then I guess I really shouldn't go that.
Alex, until I get proven wrong, dude, I just cannot. My top 3 teams in the NFC:
Yeah, I
49ers,
agree with that,
Eagles,
100%.
Cowboys. I just don't
100%.
see. I don't even want for the Cowboys. Everybody got to.
I agree with you.
That was our whole AFC preview, though. Whole AFC preview. It's
Yeah,
all
we'll-
been done.
We'll be ready for the NFC East.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
NFC
come
East.
locked and loaded.
Yeah, Alex, obviously a Giants fan. I'm the Commanders fan here.
Uh-oh.
You know me,
I made
Cowboys
a bet
fan.
with one of our members in the YMCA. If it's which team will have a better record, Giants or Cowboys? It don't matter who wins division, deeper playoffs. Whoever's a better overall record has to wear each other's team shirt for a whole week. So
You
I
bet
really
on the Cowboys. I know you did, right?
no, I bet on my own fucking
God.
team. I got to bet on my
I
own team.
I was kidding.
So if he's like, I got a shirt ready for you. I was lifting you. He's like, looks like you wear an XL. I was like, fuck.
But
So-
you might as well just write that shit off then and do whatever challenge you had for yourself. I don't know, Giants.
Let's
Giants.
fucking go, bro.
Well,
Quit sleeping on
I'm ready
Daniel
to talk
Jones.
about it. We can get in a huge argument next week.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a lot from you two.
Don't fucking play
Me
with
and
my
Jared gonna
Giants.
sit out finally. We out of the AFC.
It's
boy.
our time, baby.
Moving on to the actual better conference.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck, no.
Yeah. Daniel Jones over Derek Carr any day of the week.
Was to put all their teams together, dude.
We would
just
mob y'all.
sweep.
Oh,
I
We
gotta
would
talk
just
my
be
motherfucking
walking.
shit. Hey, remember that game last year?
What
Giants
game?
Ravens.
Yeah.
Uh,
Come back, baby.
All right.
Fucking Kayvon Thibodeau
Do you
strip
remember
sack.
last time Commanders Raiders played?
Hey, me and Desto got a bet $20 for the Raiders and Giants game.
You guys play this year?
Yep.
That'll be
I
fun.
think it's like week 8.
yeah, week 8. It's
Yeah.
like sometime mid-season.
But hey, don't get me
Just
wrong.
Send them the money, bro.
When,
Who,
when we played the Ravens last year, I was like, "Oh, we're losing." No, we won.
Fucking dude, we blew so many fucking leagues last year.
So
That's
did we.
sad.
We blew
No,
hell
Dustin,
leads.
Dustin, remember the Miami game?
No,
that
fucking
that says
terrible.
enough.
That
That's how our
was
season went.
One of the worst.
Dude, we were up 17-0 against the Chiefs. We blew.
Dude,
we were
that
up like
Miami game
20.
was sad.
Dude, we blew
Listen,
leads.
y'all
too.
was
I'll let
fucking
and
blowing
you guys
them out.
complain when you lose by when you're up by I think 3 touchdowns and lose
You guys
in the
are-
fourth
yeah.
fucking quarter. That shit is crazy. Dude.
All right, we gotta get out of here.
All
We gotta
right.
get
Yeah,
out
thank
of
you guys for watching as always. We'll see you on the next one. NFC East preview next episode. This is in the slant. We're saying peace.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and click here to subscribe and of course to watch some more.